What?
Shh! He's outside. Oh, some say.
Why are we doing
Some say his minions are infesting your water purifiers and backgammon boards. Some say he's responsible for every genocide unknown to man. Some say he stole your sandwich out of the fridge last week.
What an asshole! What else has he done?
He turned the freaking frogs gay.
This is madness! Who is this man? Who is this madman?
He goes by many names, most of which I don't know. But his name in our tongue is Derek. What?
Nothing. Nothing. He sounds diabolical and needs to be stopped. The people outside, are those his minions? They have a cool name, like the Brood or the Wretched?
Well, his two generals are in the kitchen right now. It's Joe and George.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't pick the names, Dave.
I know. But even if we were to ignore the names, which I can't do, but if we did ignore the names, I can hear them struggling to get through the door.
Oh, you gotta turn the doorknob.
Which way?
Right away.
Yeah, when you put it like that, they don't seem that intimidating.
I'm sitting on the couch.
I will be right back. Come here!
Effective. We watched a movie today.
Universal Force, the Seer Squad.
Yes, that is the U.S. title for this Chinese animated film. I say U.S. title because in in China, this is the third film in a series of the Seer films. This is Seer 3, Universal Force. Seer, I'm going to get a little brief history on this. Seer is a video game that
Did not know this going into this.
I saw this afterwards. It's a video game that's essentially China's version of Pokemon because they banned consoles over there. So they didn't have Pokemon, so they made Seer back in 2007-ish or so. This is all the exact same as Pokemon. It is catch the monsters, make them fight, and like
Except you're a robot?
Exactly, except you're a robot called a Seer. You're a tiny little minion-sized pill that is, of course, highly customizable, and you can make them look like whatever. And blah. This, however, is the equivalent of the Pokemon movies, where you took the game, but it, the stakes have never been higher. I have no idea what the first one or the second one was about. The first one was called...
you were having trouble just finding any information about this at all.
It's very difficult. You type in Chinese Seer franchise and it's like nothing. But the first one was called something Search of the Phoenix or whatever.
Harry Potter.
And the second one introduced these superhero characters that were the Goku and whatever. I can't remember what that one was called.
The Dragon Ball Z meets Power Rangers.
Yeah, so I'll get into the plot of this movie in particular. This movie, it opens up with us coming onto a planet of the Nars saving the Ajay people.
Even though the Netflix subtitles spells it as Nas.
But the online stuff says Nars, so I don't know.
Somebody fucked up.
The 3 Seers, robots, that I'm assuming have been our main characters in previous films.
Don't assume.
They are on this planet. They come across the Ajay people who are under attack from this evil galaxy-wide pirate who's also a robot named Dean.
Mr. Dean.
General Dean, thank you very much.
Mr. General Dean.
And his 2 minions, Alex and Joe. I love that so much.
Alex and Joe.
So we'll get into that later.
All of the heroes' names.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I'll get to them when I say them. So they go into this village and they're like, okay, so there's this sacred tree with this big old light on it, and this light is the only thing that can keep off this cosmic toxic dust. Whatever.
Cosmo dust.
And
sounds like it should be a street drug.
The pirate is after it because unlimited power. He also has this beast.
The Triforce.
He has this beast called Colberto. Why is it called Colberto? So the beast is attacking them. They end up stopping the beast and capturing it in the same way I assume that you do in the games. But the pirate ends up taking it and is going to be doing modifications to it. They realize
We must modify it.
the pirate is doing that, and the three little robots are like, "Oh no, we can't possibly fight Dean by ourselves. We need to
Not Dean!
we need to bring in some help. So let's go to the people we've met in the previous movie." And they go to these heroes named Jay, spelled G-E-Y, maybe G-E-I, I can't remember. Gaia, Cassius, and Blake.
Blake's the edgy one. Blake's the Raven looking
Blake's the
motherfucker.
fucking Sasuke of this fucking... Oh, God.
He's the Vegeta of the group.
I love it. So these four heroes each have their own... Like, Cassius is basically Superman. Jay is Goku. He's got the yellow spiked hair and everything. Gaia is the big... He's the muscle and whatever. And Blake has psionic powers.
Well, also, was it oh, what's the other one? Cassius, he's also the Frieza looking motherfucker.
Yeah, they all look like Goku, Frieza, Cell, and then Blake's kind of original, but he
Blake looks like Mewtwo.
yeah,
He's got
the
purple. He's got the psionic powers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he has the ability of using telekinesis and all that. So like he's very much Mewtwo.
So our main focus on this was on one of the pillbugs named Psy. And he's like, "Oh, I can be a hero like you guys, snarf, snarf."
I am the great explorer's sign.
And he ends up fucking up everything.
Suicide.
So they're all fighting off Colberto, but Colberto ends up absorbing energy of Blake. There's also this subplot about Blake might be working for the enemy, but he's not.
I don't know if that even counts as a subplot. Maybe it was like this. It was this one scene.
All the heroes weren't working together and they were fighting against each other, but then they learned the power of friendship.
Then they all got chained together at the leg, and it was honestly a reenactment of the Defiant Ones. Well, now you gotta learn to work together in order to get out of this together.
So they're dangling over the edge of a cliff, and Psy's weighing them down, and Psy sacrifices himself. He's like, "You guys can be the heroes," and he kills himself.
Sacrifice.
Meanwhile, he has this little cat rodent thing that looks exactly like Pikachu, named Mika. It even says,
Mika.
I'm gonna get to that. But Mika dives in after him.
He's even got the ears.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So Mika dives in after him, and then the heroes are like, "Oh, we have to go stop the pirate in honor of Psy. He was such a likable character."
You keep telling yourself that, movie.
So they go off and they fight the pirate.
Yeah.
Colberto comes back, and he absorbs the light energy, becomes fucking superpowered Diablo character.
He digivolves.
Digivolve to Greymon! Then the monster ends up turning on Dean and seemingly kills him. They fight against this beast, but he's too powerful. But then a fifth hero comes in, and he has Psy in his hands, and it's like, "Oh, this fifth hero, who is this?" And then he says, "Mika!" It's like, God, fuck it. They turned Mika into a goddamn fuck.
There's no reason whatsoever for that fucking thing
No.
to have been the fifth hero.
So they fight him off, and they take down Colberto, and they make him explode.
So I will say, though, at least Mika is actually more powerful than all of the three.
It's strange in that way, because we've
got this, like, solar beam type
maybe
shit.
in previous movies he's also been like the saving Deus Ex Machina, but in this they never even hint that he has any special powers.
He reminds me of Buja from Gurren Lagann, you know, because like later on the show he literally becomes like this humanoid, anamorphic kind of guy.
So the movie ends with them beating up the Diablo character Colberto, and they get the light that was on the tree back from him because he absorbed it, and they save everyone from the toxic dust. And the heroes all learn that it's like, "No, we work better as a team. We will be the Universal Force, the Avengers,
Voltron,
X-Men, every fucking team." And that's how it basically ends. And then there's
Glitter Force.
There's a post-credits, mid-credits scene of Dean's hand coming up out of the rubble. And
because
he wasn't actually dead.
We need a Marvel post-credit sequence.
Pretty much. This thing plays out, especially in the last act, as like the Marvel thing. They get the crystal power or whatever, they get more energy, and then they all fight and like helping each other. the teamwork. All right, so where do you even want to begin with this?
I mean, the best way to begin with this, honestly, is simply with the screenplay, because it's going to be the shortest section of this. The screenplay is almost non-existent. This entire game feels like a movie game, a video game cutscene, and a video game cutscene from like the early 2000s. It has like really over-the-top voice acting. People don't have emotion; they pose with emotion.
The best part was
how dare you! You own the second rate me.
Jay is the default leader. The Goku character is the default leader.
He looks like fucking Jolteon.
And when all the other characters go off to fight against this beast, he has a moment where he's just, wait! It's like, alright Jay, good job. You emoted.
You are the leader, aren't you? You're great.
Damn it.
I got my emphysemas acting up here.
But yeah, no, you're right. The screenplay, I mean, we pretty much paused this about every half hour, and we were amazed that it still had as long as it did at every point. It seemed like there was nothing that they could really do further, yet for some reason they kept going. It really came out to the ending fight scene, I would really say, started when Colberto absorbed the first bit of energy.
Yeah.
And then he became supercharged. Then they had the whole fight with them being chained together.
Became his chameleon state.
Then they multiplied him, so there were now multiple Colbertos.
Charmeleon, sorry.
Then they brought the fight to the village. Then they ate the light. Like, that whole thing goes on for like 45 minutes in an hour and a half long movie.
Yeah.
The ending fight just takes so
drags. It drags. See, it's funny too because I just recently finished the show on Netflix, Godless, the miniseries, and I really enjoyed it all the way up until the last episode. In the last episode, everything kind of fell apart for me, and I was expecting to have like a half-a-long episode of a gunfight, like that was leading up to all these crazy things, and it was one of the worst gunfights I've ever seen. Oof. That is like if they did stretch it out to half of the episode, but still left the quality the same.
Yeah.
So there's nothing worth the investment.
Literally, it seems like every single fight up until...
Jeff Daniels is good in that, though.
Every single fight up until the very last, 5 minutes comes down to, we're not strong enough to beat him. And then they just stop fighting for a while. We're not strong enough to fight Dean. Let's go get other people to fight Dean. They're not strong enough to fight Dean or Colberto. Well, they better learn the power of friendship. Oh, now we're strong enough to fight Dean, but not Colberto. Oh, well, now there's a fifth guy. Now we can beat Colberto. End movie.
This sounds like Glitter Force.
I mean, that's pretty much every...
And some of you people who don't know what that is, you will soon enough.
That's pretty much every anime, though, is like they introduce the villain at the beginning and it's just like, oh, we can never be that strong.
Well, basically every shonen anime, really, yeah. I mean, this is based insanely off of DBZ. There's so many fucking anime references in here. What was the line that we had?
Alright, so there's this one character, that's his name. He's the green robot. He literally said his name twice, but it's 4 syllables, and I can't remember it. You can't find it, I'm telling you.
See?
So they find, if you're looking up on IMDb, look Seer 3, because it's under Seer 3 instead of Universal Force Seer Squad. He says how, I'm such a badass, I can take them down, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like Optimus Prime and, who's the other guy? Optimus Prime and...
Oh, I forget now, too.
Oh my god, this is gonna fuck with me because it pissed me off. The second one pissed me off more than the fact it was Optimus Prime.
It was Optimus Prime.
It's another robot, obviously.
I
can't remember.
No.
That's gonna fuck with me. But he basically took 2 name brand people. 2, totally known throughout everywhere names. And he's like, oh, I'm this cool.
Is it Kalulu?
No, that's the pink one. Not Sai, not Kalulu. Who's left? It started with an A.
I'm looking.
So, yeah, it's...
There's not many people listed in the credits.
In regards to the screenplay, in terms of, the anime stuff, it wasn't even, a good anime fight.
We know who Alex is, at least. But we don't know the third person.
Maybe that was his name, though. Maybe that was his expanded thing. I don't know. Fuck it.
There's only like 6 people listed on the credits.
Maybe there are only 6 people active.
We don't really care.
But yeah, with the screenplay, with the aspect of like the fights and all that, none of the fights were really that interesting either.
No.
Like they were, it's kind of in the phase of.
So there was the one part in the fight, like all the natives are shooting
yeah.
arrows at these robots, and of course you get the 2 main comic relief here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and one of them gets this arrow jammed into him, and who is it?
It was Joe and Alex. And Joe.
Joe was the one is the dumber one,
Yeah.
right? Joe just pulls the arrow out, and you see this oil spurt
stream.
up. He's like, Joe, I'm sorry, and he just shoves it back in. And like, it makes it just because of the loud thunk that happens after. It's
like this movie, genuine with the pratfalls and the comedic, like physical humor. Every once in a while, there was a good. Like,
I mean, you and I were legitimately laughing. Yeah. It wasn't a chuckle. It was just like
there were a few things in here.
We had to rewind it and relive it. So, like, that was at least worth 1 star.
So the comedy I would put as a thing, not in the dialogue, but just in the movement.
It's slapstick.
The slapstick.
Yeah.
The action part, the action, just like Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
The animation is terrible.
Yeah, I guess let's
everything
get into
clips.
In the technicals, because
or I should say everything doesn't clip.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it goes back into the fact that this reminds me of an early 2000s like PS1 video game, and honestly, that's actually kind of being insulting to the PS1.
Yeah,
but
it's early phase PS1 before people knew how to program with it.
Do you remember those Captain Crunch CDs that you would get in some of the boxes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
Jesus, that's a blast.
Because I remember the Captain Crunch one where he has to like go down into the earth or something like that. And the cool thing is with those discs, if you didn't know this, if you took the CDs and put them into a boombox, it'll actually play an audiobook. So it's just that was cool. Why can't we have that again?
But yeah,
it was probably more terrible than I'm remembering it though.
Oh, I'm certain that it was.
And I believe it was bad to begin with.
But they did the balances, and they're like, no, this will sell more cereal.
I don't know if it did.
But no, there was like one part. In fact, in that same scene when they pulled the arrow out, it was they dove through a bush, and the one character was in front of the bush visually, like you could see him when he was obviously supposed to be like 3 feet behind the bush. It was just a layering thing that they totally fucked up. And there was I think right after that they then had
There's this one part where he's like looking around, waiting to see where all the things are coming, and then all of a sudden it cuts to an aerial shot, and they're all right there. I'm like, how in the world did you not see this shit?
There's a part when all of the native people are running through a field, and it's like a sideways shot, and the grass level's here, and then just all of a sudden, poof, it just shoots up.
The text is just like
it just jolts. Like it's very, very unprofessional looking.
I think I equated it like this is like it's like this is like an animation student's final project. Yeah. It's like, there's going to be bugs in the actual thing, but like, okay, this isn't bad that you were able to do in one semester by yourself.
And I mean that it literally comes down to the definition of Chinese knockoff.
Yeah,
it is.
Everything about this is a knockoff.
Yeah,
and
I'm more confused as to why they chose to bring this one over to the States.
And also like. I don't get it because, like, you can barely see any of the English voice cast on this. I don't know if it was written on the subtitle, on the credits, because we queued out by that point. All of the titles are just blurred out, and then the English titles are put over top of them.
You can see the Chinese text was in white. You can see that they just put on a Gaussian blur and then put on yellow text for the English, which I'm like, wow, they took it from all the people who dubbed the stuff off the Japanese shows.
Yeah.
I expected during the opening credits when that stuff was happening on the bottom to say like subtitled by ParodyDubs.net.
I'm expecting also to hear see the word by word lyrics of the song. Oh, we gotta talk about the music.
Yeah.
It's like the opening song.
The opening song, I'm assuming is called Seer because it was the only English word.
Seer. Dude, it was lit.
It was good.
I was all for that. That was like a legit anime opening.
It genuinely sounded like I expected them to have like those 50% opacity where it's like the anime character's turning his head.
Not very like
leaves blowing.
It's kind of like Gundam Wing. It's just like and it was fun. It was fun. I was like, all right, let's do this.
The ending song also was it was an electronic beat more than a rock one.
Yeah,
it was okay.
It was okay. The first one was good.
We should talk about the rest of the audio mixing.
Oh, what audio mixing?
Yeah, I equated it to I feel like when they were mixing the audio here, first off, all the other songs are just seemed like stock royalty free fucking.
They didn't even blend to the actual events going on screen.
I feel like they got confused with what low volume was and high volume was, and they thought it was opposite. Because every time that, like, during the scene where Cassius is being contacted by the 3 robots, they say, he's like, no, I have to help people. And there's supposed to be voices way off in the distance saying, help us, help us. But instead, it is the primary thing that you hear. It's, help us! And it's like, oh, do you hear that? Yes, of course I hear that. He's right there.
And then when you have the actual music playing in for the, like, the really, like, intense it was over everything. You couldn't hear anybody.
No.
It's like because, I mean, the music is it makes very loud. It's kind of like Dot Hack Psy. It's like where, you know, nobody cares what's actually being said, so you just want to focus on the really cool, you know, music being played.
And I mean, that was during, what was it, Psy's Sacrifice. It was like a really dramatic score to it, but there was a very tender moment, so everyone was quiet. And it's like, no, Psy, we can help you. Meanwhile, boom, 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 boom.
It's like, rattle my eardrums a little bit more. I don't have enough tinnitus.
But yeah, it's just those little things it seems like they're all, it was kind of just thrown together. And I don't know whether that's the original, like, stuff, because, I mean, that's always the thing between the dub and the original. You can never tell, like, when it comes to audio stuff, where the line
I
is.
can't imagine that it's going to be all that much different than what we have
Probably
here.
not.
Because the way that this was done, this was something that was cut together very quickly, very cheaply.
And we can't say this for certain, but there were a few flashback scenes that very much seemed like they probably were taken from the previous movies.
Yeah.
Like, this was just, like, this is the third in the saga, so you were expected to see the first 2. It seemed like they took some of those flashback scenes from, like, the prior movie, just to add a bit more of, like, who are these 4 hero guys that they're going to contact? Oh, well, here's the scene from the second movie showing the tournament arc.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, is there really much more to say?
The first Seer came out in 2011. This one came out in 2013.
There are 6 now, by the way. Not in America. You'd have to search them out. But there are 6 Seer films.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So, hey, man.
Most of them don't even have ratings on IMDb.
No.
I mean, like, again, that IMDb is not the be-all, end-all thing for that. But when it comes down to people in the West, to be able to find and kind of research this, I mean, you get this with, like, professional critics a lot, too. It's like, oh, we'll link to the IMDb page. We kind of view that as kind of our Wikipedia, in a way.
Yeah. But, I mean...
Actually, doesn't this movie have 2 different listings?
No, that was a different one. That was a different one we were looking at for today.
That happens, though.
Yeah.
It's like, but, other than that, I mean... You can't really say much about the... Well, we already said plenty about the voice cast.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... Yeah.
It's emotionless. It's literally, if you were to take the definition
Were we, like,
Chinese...
comparing, like, Jimmy Neutron's early animation to this?
See, that's the thing, though. And I said this. So Jimmy Neutron, they had a TV show. They had to get out a certain amount of animation every week. I don't expect... super high quality.
It's better than this. Neutron. They at least understood textures.
But this is on par, I'd say, with, like, you know, just proportions and modeling and, like, movement. Because Jimmy Neutron, the first movie, watch it back, it's jank.
Stiff.
There's some jig to it.
That was one of the very first ones.
But this movie's slightly below that, and it's coming out 10 years later.
Yeah.
10 plus years later.
And there's enough people on this that it should have been better than what it was, regardless of the money that was involved with
I mean, admittedly, China, I don't know how
I don't know Chinese animation, or especially Chinese knockoff animation kind of goes.
But I mean, you look at, like, the Pokemon movie compared to the Pokemon show, that's a jump in quality.
I mean, that's a jump in quality, except when you actually get to the later seasons of Pokemon, it actually kind of catches up. If we're talking about the first movie. With the first season... Holy shit, there was a huge difference.
Beautiful. That's up until the end of the Johto series, at least.
It's like, so, I mean, and then that's kind of funny that you would think that, considering how late into the run that this came out, that it would have been good enough.
Yeah.
Just good enough. I'm not looking for fucking Mozart here. I'm not looking for How to Train Your Dragon.
I mean, they already had all the models and everything. Really, what really tore this down wasn't the models. The models were detailed enough. They like the robots, their faces were very expressive because they had the LED screens.
Nobody ever got damaged.
Nobody ever got damaged, and the ground was like, there was one point where they zoomed in on Dean and then had to go to a really far out tracking shot.
Yeah.
Because of that, the zoom in shot, it only lasts for a fraction of a second, but the zoom in shot, you can see the individual pixels on the ground texture.
Some of them like will blink out, like, and they come back.
It's terrible.
And like, was it when they're when they're like running, all of a sudden, like they'll cut to one shot and the grass will be there, and they'll cut to the next shot and they'll be gone. Like they'll forgot that they to add the textures in.
And when it comes down to like people moving, there was that one part where they're all chained together. It's like, all right, let's go.
That was funny as fuck. Like, let's go. Oh.
And like, just us doing that would make you think they're running at super speed. No, they're running.
No,
they're like snails pacing along there, but they're like flash dancing. Just.
Whoa.
All right. So final thoughts.
Final thoughts about that. This movie had a few moments that made me legitimately laugh, but I think it was more just incredulousness than anything else. It's primarily forgettable. I remember already less of this movie than I remember of Galactic Man or whatever the hell it was called. Animan. The Galactic Heroes. That's why I was combining together. But yeah, I remember more about that. Those have more interesting characters than what they have here. Overall, Dean. Terrifying villain. He burst out. I hope he is the antagonist for the whole show.
I'm sure he is. He strikes me as the Team Rocket Giovanni. Like
Giovanni's way cooler than this dude.
But that's what I feel like they're trying to go for. In the Pokemon knockoff, they were like, yeah, you have the Team Rocket jokester guy, but their leader, he's a threat.
And he looks like he belongs in the Bionicle movies.
Yes, that'd be... I want to do one of those.
Crossover, Seer and Bionicle. We haven't had a Bionicle movie in years.
Well, that we know about. They probably have been coming out.
I'll look at it.
Don't worry about it. My final thoughts for this is, it is by definition Chinese knockoff. By concept, and the Pokemon turning into this, the fact that this is literally just made to tie into that the same way the Pokemon movies were made to tie into the series, which is made to tie into the game. This is taking so many beats from so many other things that it doesn't really have its own sense of identity. I mean, I'm sure it does to the actual, like, the people who've kept up with the franchise.
Fake.
But, like, the fact that we're introduced to these 3 robots at the beginning of the movie, and by the end of the movie, they don't fucking matter at all.
No.
Literally, one of the last scenes is them saving the life of the one robot, and I just feel like that's so they can use them at the beginning of the 4th movie. But even then, I've looked at the posters for the 4th and 5th movies. It's specifically the Universal Force. The people who are introduced in this movie.
So fuck the Seers.
Fuck the Seers. They don't matter at all. This is all about Universal Force now. And to be fair, that's probably for the best because they are far more interesting than the robots.
Which isn't saying much.
No. So, all in all, this movie, it's a Chinese knockoff. There's nothing more, like, if that's fine for you, that's fine for you. If that's not, then I don't blame you.
Just package it up and push it out.
Yeah, it's. Does your mom not want you to watch Pokemon because, evolution's against Jesus as well? Take the Seer. And that is Universal Force,
the Seer Squad. Oh God!
What?
It's them!
Kneel before your dark god, Derek. Do you dare doubt my powers, mortal?
No, look, Derek. I appreciate that you have power. You are somehow rumbling the earth and speaking directly into our heads. You're strong. But have you considered talking to marketing about the name?
Derek was a name given to me by the dying gods as I killed them.
Okay, I don't care that much. Look, if you got an evil plan to take over the galaxy or whatever, go ahead, spout it off. I'd love to hear it.
I will force every one of you mortals to download my new app.
What?
It's called Jokimon. It's a monster fighting game. I bought the IP from Studio China, so it's actually...
No, wait a minute. So your whole evil plan that encompasses, the globe, it's just so we can buy into your IP?
It's not even his own IP. This is a Chinese knockoff.
Yeah!
Please rate 5 stars.
I have never been so disappointed at remaining alive. Are you downloading it?
It can't be any worse than Pokemon Go.
Right. You have a promo code?
Derek50.
Cool.